Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am the Divine One and I'm bringing you yet another assortment. Child, today's discussion will be served muy caliente, and let me tell you, it's steeped in the bitter leaves of betrayal, self-delusion, and performative patriotism. Now, I tried, Lord knows I tried, to sit quiet, idly by, light a candle, mind my business, meditate, pray, enjoy this rest era, and whatever else, but the Hispanics, the Latinos, and Latinas, who not just 8 months ago had sombreros tilted at MAGA rallies, salsa dancing around white supremacy like it's a quinceañera, but are now asking why aren't black people out protesting, and where are the black celebrities? I am done. I think it's time for them to put the corona, I suspect pure cocaine, down. What are we watching? A whole demographic that did the salsa verde straight into the arms of a party that literally draws the immigration line right at their brown faces. We have the Cubanos, we have the Venezuelans, the Brazilians, we have the Mexican Americans screaming, build a wall, with more passion than a telenovela villain, all while riding the coattails of black civil rights victories. Here is a reality check. Y'all wasn't trying to be Rosa Parks. Y'all was trying to be the bus driver making black people go to the back of the bus. But white supremacy pulled that Uno reverse card, and now they're sending you back to your countries of origin. Oh, the irony. The irony is thicker than honey, especially now that we're seeing all of these TikToks from Hispanic people asking, where are the black people? Not marching against what you voted for. That's where. And the receipts, oh honey, they're thick. We're talking 1965 Immigration Act, Cuban Adjustment Act, laws born from the blood, sweat, and organizing of black Americans. But instead of gratitude, what do we get? Yeah, let's take a look at the fruits of the labor we have provided on behalf of other communities. Marco Rubio calling Haitians terrible people, Myra Flores demanding passports at HEB, and Latino TikTok stars lecturing black folk on humility while cosplaying as Afro-Latinas at reggaeton concerts. You want whiteness so bad you're out here checking white on the census like it's a discount code for systemic privilege. Newsflash, your little checkbox won't stop a cop with an itchy trigger finger, and it's not stopping the ICE raids and deportations. So buckle up, saints, sinners, and sell out, because today I'm bringing a full breakdown from the hypocrisy in the halls of Congress to the anti-black whispers at the Abuela's kitchen table. We're calling out the Mariachi Klux Klan one receipt at a time, and the reason why black people are not marching, not advocating for all the other marginalized groups. The jig is up, so grab onto your Abuela's edges. This one's going to be a little bit extra spicy. La migra, la migra. Let's go.
That's a nice family right here. That's a great family.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Where are you guys from?
Colombia. Colombia?
And you stand with Trump. What do you say to someone that says Trump doesn't like Latinos?
Trump is family. Yes, yes.
De familia.
Yeah,
Trump is la familia.
Yeah, it's protection for USA.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well said. God bless you.
We don't want communism here.
I did it. I sure did. I voted for Trump. And I'm Latina, half Mexican, half Guatemalan. And no, that does not mean that I hate Mexicans, Guatemalans, Latinos, Hispanics. That does not mean I hate immigrants, illegal immigrants. What that means is that I'm for a president that is pro-America, that is for making this place better, because it's a shit that obviously was not working for us. Letting people come in and having taxpayers support them obviously did not make America better. It didn't. Now, does that mean that Trump's gonna make every decision he makes is gonna be great and he's just perfect and he's the best? No. But you know what? If whatever was going on didn't help, well, then we have to try something different. Okay? I'm just confused how, because I voted for Trump, I am no longer a real Latina. I am no longer allowed to eat a taco. I am no longer to listen to certain music or visit Mexico or any of that. You make no sense. It's giving irrational. It's giving a lack of control of your emotions and going and hinged and making all these videos. I don't want to see you at a taco stand. First of all, I don't need to go to a taco stand because I know how to cook, okay? And I make good tacos. And I'm going to keep eating them. A lot of them. Because they're so good. And just because I voted for Trump doesn't make me less of a Latina. Let's get that right, okay? What it means is what I said. I'm hoping for a better future because whatever the hell was going on was definitely not it. It was not helping. Economy, it seems just basura. So I just don't understand how, if as citizens, we break the law, we have to pay the consequences. We have to pay for every law we break and every crime that we commit. But illegal, not immigrants, illegal immigrants come, commit crimes, get to stay, and most continue to commit crimes. And then on top of it, our taxes, us taxpayers, our taxes help support, feed them. Like, what kind of, that is crazy to me. I have to help support people who came here breaking the rules, disregarding everything that America's standing for, and disregarded the rules. Like, I have to pay for consequences. If I get a ticket, if I commit a crime, I gotta pay for the consequences. How the hell they get a pass, a free pass? It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. You don't get to force yourself into someone's home, hurt their people, and then demand, not only expect and want, but demand that they feed you. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Like, it doesn't make sense. We have become so blinded and our vision is just so blurred, and we just allowed ourselves to believe stuff just because we really lack understanding and knowledge. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, because I vote as a Republican, now I'm not a Latina. Newsflash. No matter what I do, no matter what I say, it's never going to change the fact that I'm Hispanic. It is obvious. Soy Latina, okay? And I'm going to keep eating tacos. Esquites. I'm going to visit Mexico the right way, the legal way. I'm going to follow the rules. I'm not going to go to Mexico and commit crime, right? I'm not going to go to Mexico and force my way in and just disrespect their country. I'm going to go respectfully, okay? I'm going to be a value if I go, right? My money as a tourist is going to make them money, and, I get to enjoy myself, and, I do things the way they expect me to do it. So we expect the same thing and the same respect. You're going to come over here, you got to come the right way. It's tangible, it's possible. Just saying. Gotta go. I got a few tacos to eat.
Let's sing this song, everybody, together, okay? I need you loud, because I want to Trump. Hear that song, okay? Again. Yo quiero que todo el mundo lo cante fuerte, para que nuestro presidente la escuche. ¿Ok?
En español bien ahorita.
Bien ahora. So,
Tranquilito.
come on. 1, 2, 3, go.
Oh my God, I will vote.
Everybody,
I will vote.
come on. Repeat.
Oh my God, I will vote.
Come on.
I will vote.
Hey, for Donald. Go, all right.
Oh my God, I will vote.
Let's do it.
I will vote.
Okay. Repeat
A few moments later.
You are not welcome here.
I am very appalled that I have not seen any African American descent. I've seen a few, but not a lot, out protesting of what's right, what's wrong. It's just weird to me that they are staying away from all this that is going on. I'm not sure why.
I have a lot of people in the comments talking about, why are you just talking about African Americans? Why are you just asking for our support? Why are you not asking white people? Why are you not asking Asian people? If it's not clear by now, they have never been part of the fight. And that's not to come for you guys, but the majority is not the minority, right? Black and brown are the minority in this country. We have had a lot more issues than any other race in this country. So, by default, you would kind of think like we would stand together, having a history of so much oppression. And, I'm not trying to discredit anybody else, but we have both been through a lot. This is not even a topic of conversation. Once y'all get over the fact that it's not a race thing, because there's only one race, and that is the human race. And if you guys want to continue to put us in separate teams, then we are never going to fix the problem.
So, Governor, forgive me. I've got to sit down because I am not feeling well.
Los voy a comentar directamente. Mi amigo el Pandita me menciona que van a estar en los mall. Van a estar en los mall. Fíjate, nos van a estar en los mall. Hoy estuvieron en el mall de La Crenshaw a las 7:35. No sabemos a qué horas llegaron, pero la sobrina de esta persona la tuvieron detenida aproximadamente 19 minutos. 19 minutos, aparte de que les dio la licencia. 19 minutos, pero ya estaban adentro 20. O sea que prácticamente duraron 39 minutos adentro de la tienda. Ya a punto de salir a las 8 de la noche. Fue cuando yo llegué poquito antes eran casi cuarto para las 8 y el mall estaba vacío, literal vacío. Hay una sala de cine o no sé qué, solamente había gente en la parte de enfrente y esto lo hicieron discretamente porque hay dos parking. Ven que hay dos parking. Yo nunca he ido a ese mall hasta el día de hoy. Hay un parking como que está en la parte de arriba. Dicen que mañana estarán en Santana y Anaheim. No se sabe. No se sabe, pero me lo dijo alguien que es policía. Te lo voy a decir directo, me vale verga. Ahorita ya puedo decir lo que sea. Él trabajó en los callejones de policía. Empieza su apellido con H. Él fue comandante o, ¿cómo se diría? Capitán o sepa la verga. Pero fue alguien pitudo. Su apellido empieza con H, para que más o menos sepan. Entonces ese señor sí se la sabe, ¿eh? No va a andar con chingaderas. Entonces ese señor me dijo, ¿sabes qué? Él trabajó de security en los callejones, pero ejerce como policía de LAPD. Me dijo,
And let me talk about this today, because every time I cut on this TikTok or the news or some kind of social media app, I keep seeing Latino folks saying, black people, where are the black people? Y'all need to be out there. Y'all need to join us. You need to be confronting your own people, because you see this here, Latinos for Trump. Yeah. Lots of your people voted for Trump. Trump has been saying for the last 4 or 5 years what he was going to do, and he is true to his word. And it's unfortunate a lot of y'all fell for that, because y'all saw Kamala and said, oh, this is a black woman, even though she's mixed race. We don't want to vote for her. We don't want to have anything to do with her. And a lot of y'all do not like black folks, and I'm going to just call it out. I'm here in LA. I have worked with them.
Let's sing this song, everybody, together, okay? I need you loud, because I want to Trump. Hear that song, okay? Again. Yo quiero que todo el mundo lo cante fuerte, para que nuestro presidente la escuche. ¿Ok?
En español bien ahorita.
Viene ahora. So,
tranquilito.
Come on. 1, 2, 3, go.
Oh my
Los voy a comentar directamente. Mi amigo el Pandita me menciona que van a estar en los mall. En los mall, van a estar en los mall. Fíjate, nos van a estar en los mall. Hoy estuvieron en el mall de La Crenshaw a las 7:35. No sabemos a qué horas llegaron, pero la sobrina de esta persona la tuvieron detenida aproximadamente 19 minutos. 19 minutos, aparte de que les dio la licencia. 19 minutos, pero ya estaban adentro 20. O sea que prácticamente duraron 39 minutos adentro de la tienda. Ya a punto de salir a las 8 de la noche. Fue cuando yo llegué poquito antes eran casi cuarto para las 8 y el mall estaba vacío, literal vacío. Hay una sala de cine o no sé qué, solamente había gente en la parte de enfrente y esto lo hicieron discretamente porque hay dos parking. Ven que hay dos parking, yo nunca he ido a ese mall hasta el día de hoy. Hay un parking como que está en la parte de arriba. Dicen que mañana estarán en Santana y Anaheim. No se sabe. No se sabe, pero me lo dijo alguien que es policía. Te lo voy a decir directo, me vale verga. Ahorita ya puedo decir lo que sea. Él trabajó en los callejones de policía. Empieza su apellido con H. Él fue comandante o, ¿cómo se diría? Capitán o sepa la verga. Pero fue alguien pitudo. Su apellido empieza con H, para que más o menos sepan. Entonces ese señor sí se la sabe, ¿eh? No va a andar con chingaderas. Entonces ese señor me dijo, ¿sabes qué? Él trabajó de security en los callejones, pero ejerce como policía de LAPD. Me dijo,
Before I go in, let's set the stage regarding the hypocrisy of the Hispanics for the GOP. Let's get one thing clear. The same brown faces that shout "Se beta" at a Trump rally are living off the backs of those they snub. We're talking Cuban exiles, Venezuelan immigrants, Mexican Americans, and everybody else. The proud patriots you normally see wearing some American flag or waving an American flag. They're now worshiping at the altar of Trump and the GOP until the lepers wanted to try burrito wrap Latin faces. And all this is happening while they benefit from the civil rights crown jewels won by Black Americans. Recall that Lyndon Baines Johnson pushed the 1965 Immigration Act as part of the Civil Rights Crusade. That law, and even the Cuban Adjustment Act of 1966, opened doors for your communities. Yet today, some of you cheered on a party that targets immigrants and hails white supremacy. Receipts incoming, the 1965 Act, and I quote, did not matter from where an immigrant came, said Senator Ted Kennedy, Democrat, aligning the new Latino influx with the spirit of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. In other words, you're here because of anti-racist vagaries. But some Hispanics, during the November 5th, 2024 election, kissed the very boots that are now storming through the streets to boot you out of the country. And instead of acknowledging the position you've put yourself in and who put you in that position, which is other members of the Hispanic community, as well as the white people that voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. Instead of acknowledging that, no, you're online with deflections and false solidarity. All of a sudden, we must come together. What about all those TikTokers and online activists? Some Latinos love to virtue signal solidarity with Black Lives Matter as long as it doesn't cost them a vote or as long as they can still profit off of the clout. If you watch social media, you'll see non-Black Latinos popping up in hashtag BLM threads to say, but what about discrimination in Latin America? Or my country's racism was worse. Those are classic deflections. I hilariously noted we're literally in the same house with AC and mojitos, but you're waiting for the Black Rosa Parks to fight for your issues instead of marching with us or marching for your own issues. Translation, we comfy, you solve it. This attitude shows up in political actions too. Plenty of right-wing Latinos once voted Democratic on immigration issues, then flipped red once they got in office or once they got their immigration status. Now they ask us, where were y'all on the streets? And when confronted, they throw up their hands. Oh, we're brown like you. We feel you. False solidarity. For example, some Latina influencers lecture Black Americans to be humble about racism, forgetting that even Latin women face misogyny. Others mimic Black culture in reggaeton videos, but turn around and call actual Black Latinas perras, bitches, or whore, or worse. This hypocrisy is nothing new. Ask yourself, when affordable housing or anti-racism bills in California are on the line, do non-Black Latinos stand with Black communities, or do they vote for fiscal responsibility that slashes minority programs? Too often, the latter. They wave the Latinx flag when convenient, but their vote records and street behavior portray another story. But to all of these Latinx, Hispanic, Cubano, fill-in-the-blank Palestinians, oh no, there'll be a separate video for them. They deserve some special attention from the Divine One. But they're asking these questions, where are the Black people? Bitch, where are your people? Ooh, child, let me go ahead and adjust my crown and sip this tea because the audacity just floating around California right now has got me clutching my pearls so tight they may turn into diamonds. I'm seeing these anti-ICE protests pop off. Latinos flooding the streets, banging drums, waving flags, screaming about deportations, children in cages, and where's the solidarity? But then comes that tired question like clockwork. Where are the black people? Where are the black celebrities? Let me stop you right there. First of all, black folks are at home, baby. We got our mojitos. We chilling in some AC. Y'all got this the same way y'all had it on November 5th. We are inside not because we don't care, but because we're not your sacrificial lambs anymore. Black Americans have been the unpaid moral compass for centuries, frontlining everyone else's battles from civil rights to immigrant rights to gay rights, while y'all were busy salsa dancing into white supremacy and checking white on the census forms like it was going to get you a discount on oppression. See, what you're really mad about is that black people have finally learned to stay on code. Sidebar, we didn't need to look at each other, speak to each other. It was kinetic, almost as if something in our DNA activated. We looked at the 2024 election numbers. 92% of black women, 80% of black men voted against the fascism y'all invited to dinner. Meanwhile, Florida the Cubanos voted MAGA so hard they must have thought their ballots would be sufficient to replace that paperwork they should have turned in for permanent residency 10 years ago. Texas Tijuanos inch right behind like they were chasing down a Walmart rollback special on Confederate flags, and now you want us to clean up your mess. Fuck out of here. And let's talk about these high-profile Latin celebrities who are so quick to shake their asses at award shows but vanish into thin air when it's time to stand with black folks, or hell, even for their own issues and their own people. Let's start with J-Lo. Oh, she was quick to drape herself in a Puerto Rican flag at the Super Bowl, but when it comes to speaking up on Afro-Latino issues, when it comes to saying anything about black women, baby crickets. Or worse, when Goldman Sachs was giving black women $50 billion in investments, here comes J-Lo talk about what about the Latinas? Baby, you can't get no money from Telemundo. I guess she's still dodging having to testify at the Diddy trial. But if they were still married, you'd expect to catch her and you're going to see a flood cozy at home with Ben Affleck polishing that whiteness adjacency like it's a Grammy. And what about Sofia Vergara sitting up in her mansion somewhere married to Joe Manganiello, or however you say his little name, baby, until recently, clapping like a seal for diversity on paper. But what did she say when Gabrielle Union called out racism at the America's Got Talent? Not a damn thing. Instead, she slid right into that judge seat without even warming it up first. Where's her statement on what's going on with immigrant rights? What's her statement on the deportations targeting Hispanic people regardless of their immigration status? Because ICE sees brown skin. From all reporting, they're rarely checking for your immigration papers. They're rarely checking for your ID. They don't want to. They want to apprehend you. But maybe if some of the Latin celebrities point that out, I guess. And what about Camila Cabello? Oh, honey, we got receipts. The same Camila who let her fans terrorize Normani with racist slurs. The same Camila who had a backup dancer looking like he stepped out of Birth of a Nation movie. The same Camila who wrote a Notes app apology after Black Twitter dragged her in 2020 for her usage of the N-word, or all of these little burner accounts she had to terrorize and talk about Normani. But she's silent though, right? Ain't she? She's very silent. She's almost as silent as her and that guy that she was allegedly dating, but everybody could tell that boy was gay. Everybody knew he was gay. Nobody, you was a fool to nobody, child. But you're silent about this issue that matters. And your silence is not just about you speaking out on social media. Why aren't you gathering those same fans that were so apt and ready to terrorize, anything they saw in black? This is the point you should be mobilizing those people to get active. And where's Bad Bunny? Mr. Social Justice icon? Where was he during George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, BLM? Oh, that's right. He was allegedly phoneless and unreachable while still managing to post thirst traps on Instagram. But y'all want black people to clock in for your causes when y'all won't even log in for your own. And certainly not for ours. And let's not leave out the MLB, the Major League Baseball's Latin brothers. A-Rod, too busy making TikToks in his mansion. Albert Pujols, can't find him outside of a charity golf tournament. Carlos Correa, he got a white wife and a contract, and he's booked and busy and, too busy enjoying his proximity to whiteness. What about Canelo Alvarez? Another one with the white partner, always ready to cash that check, but not so ready to speak up or march. And Tatus Jr., Al Horford, cute on the field, invisible off it. Meanwhile, black athletes been out here risking endorsement deals to kneel, to march, to speak for Black Lives Matter. But y'all mad because they aren't risking their bodies, their livelihood for your causes. I can't find no measure of support for Kaepernick from the Latin community. Exactly. Let's break it all the way down. Black folks are done being the face of everybody's fight. We watch y'all vote for the deporter-in-chief candidate. We watch y'all align with white supremacy because you thought they accepted your application for whiteness. Child, they are now showing you it was denied all along. And now that ICE is at your door, you want us to chain ourselves to the fences. Fuck out of here. Where are your people? Where are your own celebrities? Where are the Cuban stars, the Tijuanan and the Cuban ball players, the reggaeton icons, the Univision anchors? Oh, that's right. They at home sipping margaritas, married up into whiteness, or minding their businesses until it's time to cash another diversity check. So don't come knocking on our door demanding where black people are. Black people been outside since the Montgomery bus boycott, since the lunch counters, since Selma. This ain't our battle. This is your time to put on your marching shoes. I mean, wear those same sombreros y'all were wearing to the Trump rallies. Okay, that'll help block out the sun, you know. That way you're not overly tan. We know how y'all are overly concerned about getting too dark, because we, black people, beloved, we are at home on code, watching to see if y'all finally learn the lessons we tried to teach you. Okay, where is Ricky Martin? Where is Ariana Grande? Oh, she's Italian again. Frenchie Montana? Where is Christina Aguilera? Where is Evelyn Lozada? The way she's always attacking black women on the Basketball Wives, y'all need her on the front lines to do hand-to-hand combat with the police. Where is Erica Mena? I know that there aren't any black women in the police ranks at these protests to call blue monkeys, but really, what is she busy doing? We know she's not working, okay? Well, she's probably working on Safari's last 1/3 of a nerve. All of these people could do what our black legendary athletes and entertainers did during the civil rights marches, which was finance, be vocal, participate, and lead. But I guess the Latin and Hispanic entertainers got their white papers and think they are exempt until they get their wake-up call. But why aren't these Hispanic and Latin TikTokers making videos about their silence? I literally had a video go viral where I didn't mince any words. This is literally the Latin community's civil rights movement, and you're still waiting for black people to produce a black Rosa Parks for your movement? Translation, stop pretending you needed black Americans to kick off justice for your neighborhoods, for your communities. Stand up for yourselves, okay? And again, that video went viral because it's exactly the mood some of us feel. We're tired of hearing Latino voters are the key whenever Democrats or Biden loses a county, but seeing no action on anti-black crimes here. If your squad gathers for mutual aid, make sure it actually includes black and Afro-Latino neighbors, not just folklorico dancers and mariachi entourages. And when black creatives in Latin music raise money for Haiti or black history causes, some Hispanic artists barely reposted. Recall the backlash when J Balvin tried to explain away an award meant for an Afro-Latino, essentially saying we all contribute to Afro culture. And then the category got erased, erasing Afro-Latinos entirely. That fiasco is a microcosm of this epidemic. White presenting Latinos claim the spotlight for celebrating Afro culture, then pull the ladder up on Afro-Latinos struggling for recognition. And just a reminder, okay, to these TikTok influencers and so forth, the numbers don't lie. This is the Latino vote in key battleground states in 2024. In Florida, for instance, a Sumos-oriented electorate suddenly backed Trump 56% to Harris's 43%, exactly the same margin by which he won the state overall. That includes roughly 2/3 of Cuban Americans. A Florida International University poll showed Cubans favored Trump 70% to 30%, and even a majority of Puerto Ricans in Florida, 57% to 43% for Trump. Miami-Dade County went for Trump, and even Osceola County's Boricua diaspora gave Trump a slim lead after Biden won it 56 to 42 in 2020. Across the border in Texas, Latinos flipped hard. In 2020, Biden won the Latino vote 58% to 41%, but exit polling shows Harris lost them 55% to 44% to Trump in 2024. Even the Mexican-American supermajorities of the Rio Grande Valley were in play. Early returns had Hispanic majority, Cameron County, which previously went for Biden at 56% in 2020, showing a 52 to 47% Trump lead, and similarly close splits in Hidalgo County. Nevada's Latinos stayed Democratic. Harris had 64%, Trump 35%, but that was down sharply from 2020. Biden had carried Nevada Hispanics 70% to 27%. In Arizona, Latinos still favored Harris 54 to 44, though her margin over Trump was smaller than Biden's in 2020. In California, still a deep blue state for Latino voters, Harris won 66% of the Hispanic vote to Trump's 33%, underperforming Biden's 76 to 23% split in 2020 in many Central Valley counties. For example, in Fresno County, 55% Hispanic, Biden won by 8 points in 2020, but initial 2024 returns had Trump up by 4 points. Florida, Trump 56%, Harris 43% among Hispanics. In Miami-Dade, Cuban Americans backed Trump 68 to 32%, Puerto Ricans 57 to 43. These swing states are nothing short of seismic. National exit polls, the Edison AP, show Trump's Hispanic support jumped to about 46% in 2024, up 14 points from 32% in 2020. The gains were the largest among Latino men. Trump now carries them 54% to 55%. Biden won Latino men 59% to 36% in 2020, while Latino women still prefer Democratic candidates. Roughly 58 to 39% went to Harris versus Trump. In short, the GOP erased a nearly 25%, a 25-point deficit nationally. Even more telling, 2/3 of voters, including many Hispanics, said the economy was their top issue. Inflation and cost of living concerns clearly trumping cultural issues. Yet Democrats underestimated how potent that message would be with Latin communities. As Edison's analysts note, Latinos were much more worried about pocketbook issues in 2024, 40% naming the economy as number one, 9 points above the general electorate. And this is where I call bullshit. This is Edison's analysis. This is propaganda. I would be able to accept this analysis at face value if we did not have a prior Trump administration that ended in calamity. But continuing on, meanwhile in Texas, scholars observed that Democrats largely campaigned on abortion and saving democracy, while Republicans hammered the economy, immigration, and border security, crime, and trans issues. That strategy clearly struck a chord. Texas Latinos flipped from 17-point Biden win in 2020 to an 11-point Trump win, a massive 28-point swing. Observers noted inflation and immigration as key drivers. One Nevada analyst also pointed out the rising cost of housing, unfocused Dem outreach, and disenchantment with the political class. Conservative Latino strategists giddily chalked it up to generational change, but the flip side is ugly for Black and immigrant communities. Consider the contradictions. Exit surveys show 80% of Hispanic voters support granting citizenship to long-time undocumented residents, including Dreamers, and 77% back the bipartisan border security bill that includes asylum protections. Yet, in the voting booth, many Latinos cheer on a party promising mass deportations entitled Walls. Vanessa Cardenas warned Latino voters still strongly support legal status for long-settled immigrants, so let's be clear, Trump does not have a mandate for mass deportations. In fact, only about a quarter of Latinos favored mass deportations in exit polling. Sidebar, and please take this the wrong way, but you hear a lot of obfuscation amongst Hispanic people when they try to differentiate between their status and people who came into this country the same way that they did, but maybe didn't have enough time to seek legal status. Understand that the Republicans, that Donald Trump, that Project 2025 was very clear. They consider you all to be illegal because you're not white. And let this be yet another example of the rationale that Black people utilized to determine that, yeah, we're going to sit this one out. We're going to stay at home. We will not be marching, and we certainly won't be giving a damn about your causes. And at this point, if you couldn't read between the lines of what the Republicans have been discussing since the Hispanic community became the majority back in 2000, then maybe you're not smart enough to be in this country at this point. Moving right along. Far fewer than the 40% of the overall electorate. On the one hand, Latinos want immigration relief. On the other hand, too many brought the GOP line on illegal labor, complete with Donald Trump's unusually racist epithets. It's like demanding a tequila shot, then complaining about the burn. And let's not forget that the new leaders riding this trend in Florida, Cuban American Rep. Maria Elvira Salazar, Republican, Florida 27, re-elected in 2024. Her next election is coming up in 2026 though. Celebrated that surge in her base. Mind you, I do believe she was the co-creator of the Latinas for Trump. In Texas, Rep. Tony Gonzalez, Republican, Texas 23, a brown U.S. Navy veteran, won re-election in 2024 despite O'Rourke, Democrats' hopes, buoyed by newfound Hispanic support. In Nevada, Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, Democrat, re-elected in 2022, up again in 2028, now finds even her Latina constituents giving her sweat. In Arizona, rising star Ruben Gallego, Democrat of Arizona, a Puerto Rican American rep, re-elected in 2024, just ousted Carrie Lake of trunk slurs about Haitian and African migrants. In the end, the Latino shift that helped propel Trump's return is deeply ironic. Latino voters despise the immigration crackdown they just empowered. And who does Trump have around him? A whole bunch of white nationalists, and the Latino voters' choice hands Republicans the authority to enact exactly these policies. We'll see if there's voter backlash when the dust settles, but for now, I can only cackle. Mi gente, this train wreck of contradictions is a masterclass in political theater, and everyone will pay the price, from immigrant families to black communities. But let's talk about the Latinos for Trump and the Maverick brown shirts. Let's name some names. Ever heard of Latinos for Trump? It's no troll, it's a real thing. Even co-founders of Latinos for Trump publicly broke ranks after the fact. Take Florida State Senator Elena Garcia. She tweeted that Trump's ICE raids were unacceptable and inhumane, saying, "This is not what we voted for." Child. Wait a minute. You supported Trump full-throatedly through thick and thin, then suddenly calls his deportation wave arbitrary, and she's not alone. Rep. Maria Elvira Salazar of Miami echoed it, urging that asylum seekers deserve to go through the legal process while focusing on deportations on every criminal here illegally. In other words, even Trump's own Cuban-American allies were calling out the cruelty. Once and only once, that cruelty was pointed toward their community. By contrast, other Latinos swooned over the wall and ICE. Gotta love consistency, right? Then there's Mayra Flores, the ex-rep from the Rio Grande Valley. Guess what she said in the Texas debate? That the South Texans should have to show passports to drive through the valley. Literal passports, like boarding a plane, except you're in your own town. What's wrong with having some type of ID? There's nothing wrong with that, she insisted. Now, she was born in Mexico and was naturalized here, but for her, carrying a passport at the grocery is fine. For her neighbors, it's just patriotic law enforcement, right? Incredible. A Latina PR of the GOP demanding paperwork from fellow Latinas to prove they belong. And don't forget the influencers, Mayra, Maria, they shine at MAGA events on camera. They tweet about secure borders louder than a mariachi band on Cinco de Mayo. But when our immigrant families cry out in 2025, crickets. Donald Trump's over here sending troops to LA, crickets. ICE is literally just going into elementary schools, terrorizing and traumatizing kids. These same activists, crickets. So you'll see Salazar on Fox touting freedom, but try finding her post during the Los Angeles immigrant protest of June 2025. Nothing. Yet the minute Trump needs votes, they show up everywhere with American flags and symbols. And don't be fooled by the lack of participation in that military parade / Army 250th birthday / Donald Trump undercover birthday party. Don't let the fact that you only saw maybe 200 people out there fool you into believing that these very same people would not vote for him again in 2026 or 2028. Remember, the majority of the Trump's campaign events were empty, but the voting booths were full. I digress. Now, I know I've talked about the Latin community's obsession with whiteness, but we're going to delve a little deeper. We have some receipts here. Okay, so Latinos have this odd relationship with whiteness, as if putting on a flag pin magically turns them white. Well, the U.S. Census has an answer. In 2020, over half of Hispanics checked white alone or in combination, and that's regardless of their skin tone. That's 50.8% of all Latinos. Half of them call themselves white. We even have a category, white Hispanics, over 12 million, and that's not including the 31.5 million counting themselves as mixed heritage. So yes, many proudly identify as white Hispanic now. They'll scream, "America is under siege," while happily doing the census checkbox salsa to distance themselves from anything they call black. Meanwhile, census politics only help their cause. The OMB is merging the race ethnicity question into one for 2030. Sounds technical, but guess what? Afro-Latino activists say will happen. They'll vanish in the data. In fact, it was just announced that they're removing the mixed race category, so you'll have to choose if you're white or black. Studies show that under a combined question, black Latinos stop checking both black and Latino, often just marking one box. Poof, Afro-Latinos disappear. Why is this scary? Because without data on black Hispanics, policy ignores them. Even the Census Bureau coding automatically backcodes respondents into black multicultural in ways that undercut the Hispanic community as a whole. In practice, your communities get robbed of resources. Yet, the white identifying Hispanics grin and nod, happy for the illusion of inclusion into whiteness, just like the Germans, just like the Italians, just like the Irish. just like the Armenians who had to sue 3 times in the United States Supreme Court in order to be classified as white. But in Trump's America, whiteness is reserved for white Eurocentric Europeans, as the white Cubans are finding out in Florida. Let's cut to the chase. Afro-Latinos barely exist in the public mind. Newsflash, at least 6 million U.S. Latinos identify as Afro-Latino, about 13% of the Latino adult population. Regarding the Afro-Latinos, the main reason why the Hispanic community overtook the black community as the majority minority in this country back in the 2000 census was because Afro-Latinos started to identify as Hispanic and not black. As well, at around the same time that white Hispanics stopped identifying as white to identify as Hispanic. But the numbers vary significantly, as the white Latinos were less likely to identify as Hispanic compared to the Afro-Latinos. And this was borne out in the census data for the 2000s, in which the black community's reporting decreased by nearly 10 million, at the same time that the Hispanic communities increased by nearly 10 million. The U.S. Census is critically important for several legal, political, economic, and social reasons. Politically, representation in Congress and redistricting, federal funding allocations, civil rights enforcement, public policy and research, business and economic development, disaster preparedness and response. Well, that may no longer be an issue since Donald Trump is trying to get rid of FEMA. And guess what? Undercounts harm marginalized groups by reducing their visibility and access to resources. But the Afro-Latino community's anti-blackness is also borne out in political elections, given their tendency for performative solidarity with the Latin and Hispanic culture in order to curry acceptance. Translation, you're no better than the white Hispanics begging for white acceptance. Moving right along. But how many black Latinos in your Facebook feed? Almost zero. Hollywood knows it too. Afro-Latino men are 0.1% of on-screen Latino leads, and women 0.7%. That's basically non-existent, says Nielsen, and no wonder 81% of Afro-Latinos feel misrepresented. The media archetype of Latino is Sofia Vergara. Hello, fair skin. That erasure isn't an accident. As one Pew study noted, nearly a quarter of Latinos have African heritage, yet the Spanish language, media, and communities don't even acknowledge it. You grew up calling darker relatives morenita, or worse, making a cute code for some brown, but you better never call them negrita too loudly. Then they'll act shocked. Just keep up the performance. Look, I'm Latino. I can't be that black. And those tias who used to preach para majorar la raza, they were basically preaching white supremacy in Spanish. Yep, marry a white man, mija, to improve la raza, the race. So, while you belt out patriotic anthems, check out the census race box, and Snapchat the flag, your very own culture is busy saying anti-black bullshit behind closed doors. And you still wondering why black people not out there marching for your dumb ass? Now, some specific examples of Latino leaders and events. First, the LA City Council racist tape scandal. You probably remember it in 2022, a private recording leak of Nuri Martinez, Kevin De Leon, Gil Cadillo, and others, all Latinos, bad-mouthing a black council member's young son and drawing new district lines at the expense of black voters. They were literally saying racist shit in Spanish and English, carving away power from black LA neighborhoods. Guess what? They're Democrat. Yep, but this was pure Latino versus black political scheming. It knocked them out of their seats, leaving only 4 Latino seats on the 15-seat council. And what did Trumpkin say about that? Crickets. No pardon from Latin patriots there. Then the Padilla incident. In 2025, Senator Alex Padilla, Mexican-American by the way, tried asking Department of Homeland Security Secretary Christy Chow how much Botox and filler can one fit in our face gnomes a question at an LA press event. The result, he got flung to the floor and handcuffed like a criminal. He said, "I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary." His colleagues said it looked like fascism. Republicans were like, hey, he got what he wanted. But imagine that, a sitting U.S. senator from California asking a question and being treated worse than a traffic violator. No national outrage from MAGA Latinos. Remember, who's running DHS? Instead, many of these Republicans quickly pivoted back to, why isn't he in D.C. voting? Oh, and let's not forget, The Padilla of the past, Rosendo Padilla, a Guatemalan man shot by INS agent in Chicago in the 1970s, which sparked Latino organizing, that's history, but it reminds us Latino anger over anti-immigrant violence goes way back. Maybe our new GOP crew forgot those stories, or they'd remember who painted the bullseye on you in the first place. But I definitely want to talk about the cultural anti-blackness within the Hispanic community. I'm pivoting back to the Mijora La Raza in your family lives. Internalized racism, people. Let's call it what it is. You saying La Cucaracha and Besta Mi Mucho abroad, but at home, you're being conditioned. Lighter equals better. The Galileo letter on Black Lives says it plainly. We remain silent when our tias encourage us to partner with people who have lighter skin. Sidebar. Just because someone doesn't have sexual or physical access to you does not mean that you cannot support them in other ways. Translation, you do not have to marry a black person in order to not be in the way of a black person that is trying to get resources, trying to navigate a system in white supremacy that you have the delusion of believing that you benefit from. And as the deportations are showing you, you don't. Moving right along. And again, going back through history to show who did the work, let's sprinkle some history with receipts. A lot of the rights Latinos enjoy were won by others, especially black activists. Just look at the 14th Amendment, birthright citizenship. It was written to secure former slaves' rights, but guess who benefits from it? Every baby born here, including Latinos. As Latino Rebels bluntly says, the 14th Amendment is one example among many of how Latinos have benefited from the advocacy and struggle of black Americans. Think about it. If some MAGA conspiranoids had their way, they'd repeal that amendment overnight, and they tried. But your MAGA Latinos continue to wave those benefits around while snarling as the press that Black Lives Matter gets. And education. In 1947, Mexican American parents in California won Mendez versus Westminster, desegregating public schools for Latino kids. That set the stage for Brown v. Board in 1954, 7 years later. Yet, you never hear about it from the brown shirts, tweeting Latino first, even when it comes to GI Bills and home loans. World War II Latino vets got access just like any non-white service member, per law, through states, though states tried to deny it. Bilingual ballots, Section 203 of the Voting Rights Act was added in 1975 to cover Spanish speakers after Congress found language minorities had been effectively excluded from the vote. That means in states like Texas and Florida, you got ballots in Spanish, a direct civil rights win for Latinos. These laws passed because of folks said Latinos count, even if it was because they knew you'd outrank them in numbers. But now, Latino MAGA pals give the GOP a free pass to gut voting rights, and Hispanics can go pound sand. And let's do a little comparison. Black leadership versus Latino disengagement. We gotta face it. Black communities have been in the trenches, leading the march for equality. The black freedom struggle is basically your struggle too, whether you like it or not. Antonio de la Rey wrote, "The struggle for racial justice will ultimately shape Latinos' place in America. The victories are the foundation of every Latino life in this country, a foundation set by black people." That's not just his opinion, it's fact. Your roads, voting rights, even some gun liberties came from black activism. But what do many Latino leaders do? They saddle up to power when it looks convenient, or act neutral. During the 2020 protests, most major Latino orgs and stars were unusually quiet. Contrast that with the 1950s and 60s. Brown v. Board had strong Mexican American student activism. Chicano and Puerto Rican movements marched alongside blacks. Today, you're afraid to step on anti-black toes. It's a classic immigrant story, sadly. An oppressed group thinks assimilation means not threatening the white supremacist order. Mexicans in Texas after Reconstruction voted Republican precisely to distance from Reconstruction-era Democrats. Now, these descendants are back in the GOP, carrying that same fear of appearing too black. They cling to whiteness as a shield, even if it means ignoring that hundreds of Latinos named Ruthie R.C. or Antonio Baez are on the same civil rights memorials as Amadou Diallo and Sandra Bland. But let's fast forward to 2025. Just last week, protests exploded across LA against Trump's ICE raids. Thousands of Latinos on the streets in agony and anger. You think every Latin artist from Miami to Mexico City would share a retweet, but nah, most of those celebrities were busy cashing Trump victory checks or silence tweeting fluff about about unity. Instead, scroll their feeds and you'll see retweets of Hannity or Jesus saves memes, or worse, silence. It's a bizarre juxtaposition. During these Latin immigrant rallies, the Pentagon got involved. Trump federalized the National Guard in LA, citing 10 U.S.C. Code 12406, meaning he's treating your protests as a rebellion. He literally said protesters inhibit the execution of the laws, so they must be rebels. 5 seconds of logic, brown families are inhibiting laws. In his word, which is a twisted inversion of civil rights history. FYI, 10 U.S.C. Code 12406 hadn't been used in 60 years until now. That's since the 60s civil rights movement, an awkward parallel. Meanwhile, none of the MAGA-loving Latinos is shrieking fascismo like Senate Dems did for Padilla, or even demanding those troops be sent packing. Double standard much? Yeah, because it's happening in California. It's not happening in Florida yet. It's not happening in Texas yet. So what's the takeaway here? First, don't be fooled by the black content creators asking if an immigrant family knocked on your door, would you let them in? My response after the 2024 election, there is no room at the end, okay? After Hispanic people so desperate to be accepted into whiteness that they'll embrace their racism, many Trump-supporting Latinos are proudly patriotic until patriotism means turning on their own. They cheer USA, USA from their gated mansions while praising policies that cage brown kids. They wave flags with both hands carefully gloved and white. So the answer is yes. The funny thing about this whole situation is that they can still be racist. They'll just be practicing their racism in their country of origin. Moving right along. The real joke, Latino communities are often the human wall protecting whiteness, while truly marginalized Latinos and Black Americans traditionally are the ones at the front lines. Remember, when you needed allies in the 60s, some Black leaders kicked down segregationist doors for you. Hector Tobar famously said his family's success felt tied to the blood and the sacrifice of Black people. So, if you're going to claim the Latino voice in America, at least admit who built the foundation. Because right now, you're marching in the Mariachi Klan, with your heels dug into the backs of Afro-Latinos and Black Americans. Then acting surprised, Black people and Afro-Latinos don't come to your aid and don't provide comfort. Hispanics don't need a black face to tell you how American you are. That work's already been done for you by Black people during the Civil Rights Movement. What the Hispanic community needs to do is to quit kissing the foot of the powers that oppress you. What Hispanic people need to understand is that there will be no place, no space in which white supremacy will ever prioritize you as anything outside of a useful tool to use. And if you are one of the content creators trying to guilt, trying to shame, beg, and plead for Black solidarity, really, you want Black labor. We did our part on November 5th, 2024. We, Black people, have entered our rest era. We are off the clock. We have our do not disturb signs on. We are hibernating until November 2026 midterm elections. This is when we will reevaluate your priorities in voting to gauge if you have any understanding of the proper order of things. Until then, Latin people should be marching for themselves, protesting for themselves. I would think with all the Hispanic talent in the Major League Baseball, they would sit out for a season and protest. Bad Bunny and other Hispanic artists could organize voter outreach within the Hispanic community to prepare for the next election. Maybe they can have their own anthem, just like they did, I will vote for Donald Trump. I've been spitballing some things. Maybe we can remix it. I have voted to be deported as a remix. Just something, just throwing it out there. Telemundo and Univision could have discussions in town halls about racism and anti-blackness in the Hispanic community. Currently, in Spanish newsrooms in 2025, have been torching ICE raids as a crisis while narrating the 2024 election with the same telenovela flair they bring to every national crisis. It probably would have been better to communicate this possibility prior to the 2024 presidential election. I'm just saying. Given all of the above, the call is coming from within the Hispanic community. A lot of Hispanic voters thought they were leopards, and now they are the main course being used by wide-faced politicians for photo ops. But not just the Hispanic community, but all of these other groups need to understand that this election has had Black people to pause and understand and realize, and not only that, but to accept that there's no excuse for you to have not been a part of our movements full-throated, side by side, fighting for equality in this country. And now we're taking a step back. For the last 25 years, the Hispanic community has been bragging about being the largest minority group in this country. countries. And guess what? As the census removes the option for you to claim white Hispanic or non-black Hispanic, you'll either be able to choose white or black or Hispanic. And you're going to see the Hispanic numbers drop you below majority minority group in this country. You lose power. You also lose influence as those white Hispanics get to now identify as white, showing up the numbers for white people who have been losing their numbers due to declining birth rates. And that's why you've been the target of all of these immigration policies in the last 25 years. They saw the numbers, they saw where the country was headed, and white people said, we ain't going. It's time for the Hispanic community to put the corona down. I suspect Cocolina. Stop posting microaggressive questions on social media about the absence of black people and get a plan together to protect your right to exist in this country, because Project 2025 indicates to me that white politicians have been plotting on you. And I suspect this is why they never had a Project 2025 written in Spanish. Well, it looks like our time is up. I thank you for making the time to go through it to the end with me. Like, share, and subscribe, please, and thank you.